Chicago's favorite holiday tradition is back at Lincoln Park Zoo and celebrating 30 years. Get your tickets now for Zoo Lights, presented by ComEd and Invesco QQQ, and enjoy fun seasonal activities while strolling through your zoo under 3 million lights this holiday season. Zoo Lights will be back November 15th and run through January 5th. Tickets are just $7 to $10 with select free nights. Get your tickets at lpzoo.org/zoolights and learn more and secure your spot before it sells out. This episode is brought to you by Mubi, a global streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinema. Be sure to catch the cult classic The Fall, now streaming exclusively on Mubi, and a spectacular new 4K restoration. Filmed across 24 countries over a period of 4 years, Tarsem Singh's ostentatious epic sees a bedridden stuntman played by a magnetic Lee Pace spin an escapist fantasy for a hospitalized young girl. You can start streaming this film and more for 30 days free at Mubi.com/CityCast. Today on CityCast Chicago, we've got restaurant openings, the United Center's new menu, and who the hell would spend $13,000 on a martini? Here with me to break down all the city's food news is executive producer Simone Alicea. It's Wednesday, October 16th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Well, morning, Simone. How you feeling?
Good morning, Jacoby. I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. The Bears got a bye week this week. They won last week in London. And so I feel like I get like a week and a half, 2 weeks to just live in the optimism of 4 touchdown passes. I don't care if it was against the Jaguars.
I'm glad for you. And I'm glad we got this Bears update in there.
So normally every week, Simone and I break down a few of the city's biggest headlines, but today we're doing a little something different and rounding up some of the food news you need to know. And we're going to start here. At the beginning of every single month, we do our monthly guide. And at the end of every monthly guide, we talk about the thing we are most looking forward to eating in that month. And in October, Simone, can you remind people, what was the thing you were excited to eat? And then let us know, halfway through, did you get to it?
So I made the mistake of choosing a thing that had a specific date and time.
Events are tough, G. Events are tough.
Yeah, I had hoped to go to the Lincoln Square Apple Fest, but I was not feeling well that weekend, and so did not make it out to the Apple Fest. I have done no apple picking, apple baking, apple related activities at all yet this fall. And now it's cold already. So I feel like we're starting out on a very disappointing note right now. What about you? Did you get to the thing you ate this month?
I did 2 of the 3. I listed off 3 wing spots, and I've already done the famous garlic wings in Calumet Heights at Wings It Is. People can see that in our 87th Street Stony Island walking guide, which is at chicago.citycast.fm. And ironically, at the beginning of the month, I talked about really loving the smoked peach wings from Sanders. And I was over my mom's house and she loves Sanders. She has had the brisket and the mac and cheese. And so the next time I went over there, she had some of the wings and we devoured them. I learned early on this year in our monthly guides that like being excited to eat a particular food on a particular weekend in a very specific neighborhood, it's easy to say in the guide, but then like 2-3 weeks into the month, you never know what's going to happen.
It's a tough commitment. Well, I think one thing that is always happening in Chicago that you can always count on is new restaurants opening. It's actually kind of a whirlwind to keep track of. We do pick out some of the best ones that we're looking forward to over at chicago.citycast.fm. Our newsletter editor, Sydney Madden, keeps regularly updates the best new restaurants in Chicago. But a few that have opened in recent weeks that we've had our eye on. Jacoby, what are some openings you want to put the people on today?
I love how you reminded people it is hard to keep track of these. Some of these openings I didn't get from like a website or a food guide. I got just from TikTok. And this first one, I didn't even realize was happening. And that's the moving and reopening of Soul Shack Express on 87th and Ashland, just 2 blocks away from my elementary school. Soul Shack was originally located on 53rd Street in Hyde Park, and they were owned by the group that owned Mickey's, Lighthouse, and Soul Shack. But over the last few years, they've had a few of their restaurants move, some of them close and reopen, so they've been hard to keep track of. So I was really happy to find out that Soul Shack Express was reopening on 87th and Ashland. I mean, they've got great oxtails, lamb chops, of course, sweet potatoes, mac and cheese. It's a soul food restaurant, as the name sort of hints at. And I want to stay on soul food because over in South Shore at the Cultural Center, NAFC just opened. I can't remember a restaurant being in the South Shore Culture Center in the last few years.
I was just about to say, it's kind of shocking to me that it seems like a prime spot. You know, they have the golf course that's there. If you're out, you know, behind the Culture Center, exploring the like beach and the nature sanctuary, it seems like a prime spot of, oh, it'd be great to be able to grab a bite right now.
Yeah, I was actually confused that like this golf course didn't have a restaurant inside. And what it seems is that the restaurant isn't necessarily serving the people at the golf course. It's for people in the neighborhood. People are visiting the cultural center, but it's just another thing that will bring people to that absolute stunning building, which often I feel like is just sitting a bit empty, waiting for some major event. But now I'm going to be pulling up because they got green tomato salad. They also got amazing mac and cheese. They've got grilled shrimp. They've got white bean hummus, the char grilled oysters with the Creole garlic butter and the lemon. I just had some great oysters at Apollonia in South Loop during the extended weekend. And so I've been on a bit of an oyster kick the last year. And so I would like to see what they char grilled oysters are hitting for.
Jacoby, you know I wrote a guide to eating oysters for the newsletter, right? Because oysters are my very favorite thing. Do you know where the oysters you ate were from? Like what part of the country they were from?
I do not. I'm hoping they were from the Northwest, but I'm not sure where they were from.
All right, you always got to ask. They have different tastes. If you want to learn more, check out the guide. It was pretty good.
One more opening that I think is really important to hit on is the reopening of the St. Sabina Food Pantry. It closed last month. It was under control of some local charities, and now it seems that the church is taking it over. And not only are they going to offer fresh produce, but also clothing. They're going to have services like free case management and counseling services. And the pantry serves over 800 people each month in the Auburn, Gresham, and other Southside neighborhoods. And as somebody who grew up near St. Sabina and knows how big of a community resource that church is, it's really critical to see this resource being reopened for the neighborhood. What about you, Simone? What are some other openings that caught your eye this month?
You know, one thing that I saw is Dicey's Pizza has reopened in the old Parsons in Ukrainian Village. And this caught my eye because that Parsons, I believe, is the first time back in the yesteryear of 2021 that the CityCast Chicago team met in person, was at that Parsons. And, there had been over the past year plus sort of talking about opening this new tavern style pizza spot there, Dicey's. And that is set to open this Friday. Yeah, I'll be curious to see. It looks good. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to go wrong with tavern style, to be honest. I do love there's a picture of this pepperoni pizza, and they've got like the charred pepperoni. I do love that. I love a small crispy pepperoni on pizza.
I really like the look of the building. Like it's got like a nice awning sign. Like the Pizza and Tavern looks like sort of like a throwback neon sign.
It's got this vintagey feel to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is always kind of a cute moment. Another spot that in this state where I have not eaten breakfast yet that just is looking mouthwatering to me is Fat Peach Bakery just opened in September in Bridgeport, taking the place of the old Bridgeport Bakery. That bakery had been around for decades, kind of an icon in the neighborhood. And Fat Peach Bakery has proven to kind of be a smash. Lines out the door. also a common sight in Chicago around restaurant openings. I think this is why I find it really tough to keep up with restaurant opening news. I think explicitly for this reason, is I feel like it's like new restaurant opens. It's amazing. Lines are out the door. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to wait in line. I'm gonna move along.
Now, there have been a few lines out the door restaurants Kasama, that I still haven't bared. I still haven't gone to. But overall, Simone, when it comes to restaurant openings, what is your thought? Because for me, it's probably one of the things that gets me most excited in the city. Even if I don't plan to go, I like the pictures. I like the hype. I love the TikToks. And because there are more than I can actually enjoy, it's one of the places that I can just live in a space of optimism. Like when I actually go to the restaurant, I don't know, maybe half the time it lives up to the hype, but I don't know, that hype made me more excited to go, got me a little more dressed up.
Jacoby, I'm pretty allergic to hype in general as like a concept. I love Chicago's restaurant scene. You know, it's so good. There's so much going on. I don't know. I just want to go to a place that's going to be good, that I know is going to be good. And like the experience will be nice. And I don't feel like I sort of have to participate in this, you know, the virality of it all.
Maybe we should go into this next story with a little more reservations, because from new openings to new menu items, the United Center just announced their new offerings, not only to celebrate their 30th anniversary, which is that blows my mind a little bit. But also we got the Blackhawks and the Bulls home openers kicking off this week and next, with the Hawks first game in the UC on October 17th and the Bulls home opener on October 26th. But a lot of the items we're going to talk about in this section will also be available if you're not a sports fan, but you're going to be pulling up for the Little Dirk birthday bash, the Maggie Rogers, Justin Timberlake or Usher concert. And so let's start here. Simone, any of these new menu items grab your attention?
Sure, but maybe not for good reasons. As I was reading about these new menu items, one thing that really caught my eye was this Queenie's Supper Club, which is a full service restaurant that is above the East Atrium. They've got a few new dishes, a salmon, a prime rib, but I think what stood out to me about this, Jacoby, is the idea that, you know, if I have paid who knows how much to go to a Bulls game, to go to a Blackhawks game, to be in the arena, to watch the game, why am I going to a sit-down restaurant and paying $63 for a prime rib? I don't know. It's just not, it's not an experience that I can imagine for myself.
I understand that. And so here's the only place I'd push back. I went to a game a couple of years ago with the father of one of my good friends. Shout out to Mr. Peterson. And he at the time was a multi-year season ticket holder, and he worked in downtown Chicago, but he lived out in Wheaton. And so we went to the very last game that Kobe Bryant played in Chicago, and he got off work around 5. Game didn't start till maybe 8. And of course, he didn't want to drive all the way out to Wheaton. He wanted to just kind of have a couple of beers, eat a meal, and then be there so we could watch, of course, everyone warm up. He wanted to avoid the lines. He wanted to avoid the traffic. And so in some respects, while I would probably not go to the supper club, I do understand for people who are getting to the arena early, who want to be here and avoid all of the parking headaches. And also, if you are going to the supper club and you've already paid hundreds of dollars for tickets, you know, a $44 salmon with some guajang butter, poached crab, bok choy, and some crispy garlic, it's probably not hitting you or hurting you too much, especially when $40 is probably the same price for like an Italian beef, 2 large Pepsis and some, maybe like some popcorn or some gummy bears. And so I think the prices end up evening themselves out.
You know what I would overpay for though, Jacoby?
Tell me.
Chicago Pours Bars in sections 201, 218. They are now offering a prickly jalapeno margarita. 100%. I love an overpriced arena cocktail, and I cannot resist it. I don't know what it is. To me, that is a price to elevate that experience that I'm willing to engage in.
I think what I love is Rocky's Bar in Section 119, which is named after the late Hawks owner. They're offering new Don Julio Palomas and Bullet Old Fashioned, because for Bullet and Don Julio to be yo, look at us, we offering big shot cocktails now. I think that says a lot about what you could typically get at the United Center. But as somebody who goes to at least, maybe 6 games a year, I want to go to a Hawks game, and I'm likely to go to a concert towards the end of this year. So I'll probably be at the United Center maybe 3 times before the end of 2024. Seeing that Mad West over in Section 105 is offering now a prime rib onion roll, honey butter fried chicken in Section 115, has some new and improved crispy chicken strips.
I have stood in the honey butter fried chicken line at the United Center.
Never again.
I hope the chicken strips are improved. I really do, because I think that's what I got. And I was, they were fine. They were chicken strips at an arena. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you want?
One thing I think will make you happy, even though you're not at the UC a lot, they're also adding more checkout free cashless options.
Like ready to eat?
Yeah, similar to like those Amazon to go stores. So you might go in, grab a nacho, grab a hot dog. Last time I went in, I used this, was able to grab a nacho right off the conveyor belt and then walk out, and it knew exactly what I had grabbed already. And so for someone like yourself who's trying to avoid lines, it looks like the United Center is trying to meet you where you are a little bit more.
People knock nachos and hot dogs. That's what everyone wants when you're at a sports event.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's all I want. Give me cheap nacho cheese. Give me a hot dog. Give me some fries. Give me ice cream in a bucket of some kind. Like, that's all anyone wants, truly.
Those are my thoughts as well. Every time they do these new menu, I am likely to be maybe a little impressed by the options. I might try 1 or 2, but I'm typically going to get the things that are nostalgic to me, that are easy. They get me back into my seat as fast as possible.
And that are easy to eat in your seat, too.
Yes. But for long-term fans, or even people who haven't been convinced yet to pay the money to go to the UC, I can see why these new menu items get rolled out with such heavy PR every single sports season. It makes sense. Shout out to the Levy Restaurant Group. They've been with the Bulls for over 15 years. They're also partnering with the Cubs over at Wrigley. They just started being the partner of the Bears at Soldier Field.
And now Soldier Field has had a lot of improvements, to their menu as well.
They got the Odunze dog, named after Rome Odunze, the Bears rookie wide receiver. They got the Bear Claw pretzel, Bear Claw donut, Bear Claw cookies to go with Caleb Williams sort of reintroducing the Bear Claw as a symbol. So they're doing their thing, right? They're doing their thing. To see the full list of new menu items, please check the link in our show notes. Simone, we have covered some restaurant openings. We're excited for some new menu items down at the Madhouse on Madison. But there were a few headlines that came out over the last few weeks that there's no other place for us to cover this story. And so this section is going to be some of the funniest and most ridiculous food headlines we've read. Where do you want to start?
Let's start with one that you shared with me a little earlier. And this is about what appears to be the most expensive martini in the country. Where is this and how much is it?
Adelina in Near North, they got a smoked heirloom tomato mezcal martini, which on its own, if you told me that cost $15, cool. If you told me it cost $18 to $24, cool. $13,000, to which at first when you read the headline, you're like, for a martini? I'm sure they're going to do a bunch
drink. For one drink.
They'll have some gold flakes or some diamonds on the bottom. No.
Truffle, if they something.
Exactly. Nah, they cheated, y'all. It comes with a tennis necklace from Mero and Fine, a Gold Coast jewelry house that has 150 diamonds and a 14 karat gold chain. Like,
you're buying a necklace with a side of martini. That's what this is.
I feel like they should swap it, and Mero and Fine should offer a $13,000 necklace that comes with a smoked tomato mezcal martini.
I mean, I guess that would be a tougher sell though from a branding marketing standpoint. You know what I mean? Because then you're just buying a necklace. Why would I? What's different? But if I could put a down payment on a martini, you want me to put a house down payment on a martini? Well, that's news. That's something worthwhile. Apparently, at least one person said it was worth it, according to a local CBS story.
I actually think it only works if you're buying it for someone. Because if you go to buy yourself a necklace through getting the Martini, I don't even know the appropriate word there, but I don't know. Just that doesn't seem.
That's actually the kicker of the story. The line, I got to read this line verbatim because it's so good. So husbands who might be thinking about buying their wives a vacuum, take a pro tip from one man who simply bought his wife a drink.
I guess this was the point, to like piss off broke people like us.
And so that you and I could talk about it and tell everybody that it's happening. That was the point of this. It worked. It did exactly what they wanted to do.
Between a surprise combination between a drink and a necklace to another surprise collab in the city. Simone, one of Chicago's most expensive restaurants is partnering with one of Chicago's rudest restaurants and creating something entirely new. Tell me a little bit about this.
Alinea, famous for, molecular gastronomy. It's a very expensive, I think, 3 Michelin star.
I was going to give people the exact price of Alinea. Let's see. $325 to $500.
Yes.
Per person.
This is, when you say fancy restaurant, Alinea is the quintessential fancy restaurant. Time Out Chicago and Block Club Chicago reported that Chef Grant Achatz is planning to collaborate with the Wiener Circle in Lakeview. The Wiener Circle is a hot dog spot where people are rude to you. Alinea's 20th anniversary is coming up next year, and there was some social media chatter between Alinea chef Grant Achatz and the Wiener Circle about creating a fancy corn dog to mark the occasion. My question when I read this was, are they going to serve the corn dog at Alinea or at the Wiener Circle?
That's a very good question. I feel like both are going to do it in their kind of way. Like at Alinea, they'll cut it up, place it on a dish, and then just throw a bunch of things around it. Wiener Circle, they're going to hand it to you and call you a bitch.
Yeah, I think I can imagine it maybe as in a little amuse-bouche at Alinea. Mm-hmm. Like you don't even know you're going to get it, but then all of a sudden it shows up at your table. And then at the Wiener Circle, it's a big to do. Jacoby, you had another hot dog headline, I think, that you wanted to share with folks.
Yes, I'm always surprised when I read a Vienna beef headline, because this one from our friend Ashoka over at The Eater kind of made me stop. It says, Vienna Beef's $20 million plaza will honor the Chicago dog's juicy history. To which at first I was like, okay, what is Vienna Beef finna do with $20 million? And so I had to read more into it. And it apparently at the site of the company's old factory on Damon, Fullerton, and Elston intersection, they plan to sort of rebuild their corporate offices, add a restaurant, but then there's also some museum component that is going to like track their history. I don't know. I think because I really only ever see Vienna Beef, like the logo on these like really old Chicago signs, I always forget just how historic and large a company they are. Vienna Beef's profits between 130 million and 500 million.
There you go, man.
So yeah,
they're
that's
huge.
on us. That's on us.
They're huge. They're a big deal.
Please, if you listen to any of these stories and you got some funny headlines, you got some UC menu items you want to give a rating to, or some openings in your neighborhood or across the city you're excited for, let us know by leaving us a text or a voicemail at 773-780-0246. I want to give a huge thank you to our executive producer, Simone Alisea.
Hey, thanks, Jacoby.
You want to go half and half on this martini? I can keep the necklace like the first 6 months of the year. You keep it the back 6.
No.
Some good news. Chicago's inaugural Fashion Week continues with plenty of events this week, including the Transmedia Fashion Show tomorrow night from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Water Tower. This show spotlights transgender and non-binary models on the runway. For more info and the remaining events calendar for Fashion Week, check our show notes. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Peace. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is What Chicago's Talking to.
How many times have you said that? How many times? What?
I don't know, hundreds at this point. And I actually am trying to think of what I was about to say. And this is what Chicago, I think I was going to say is what Chicago's talking to me about, which is absolutely weird because they've never talked back. That's not even the medium we exist in.
That's not how that works. We talk.
Well,